The Whirlpool Masters is a very special event.
There's never going to be an easy match or an easy draw.
It's like a dream. It's a very big tournament, play the best players in the world.
There are 16 top world-class players.
It's a really strong field, really good mix.
It's called the Whirlpool Masters for a reason.
This is the Party Poker Whirlpool Masters from the Barnsley Metrodome, England. It's one of the most coveted titles in 9-ball pool and features the world's very best in a straight knockout competition. The quarter-final lineup is nearly complete. Defending champion Karol Skowroński and most notably Efren Reyes and Ralph Suke are already out, but Chris Melling, Alex Pagulayan, Niels Feijen, Mika Immonen, Nick Economopoulos and Chang Junglin are already through. Next up, it's USA's Shane Van Boening against Kuwait's Omar AlShaheen.
It's difficult to win the World Pool Masters because you got the top 16 best pool players from all over the world. And I haven't won it yet, but it would be an honor to win one of these events.
I'm very happy to play in Whirlpool Masters. I think it's a big chance to prove yourself with these guys.
I played very well at the US Open, and I'm very happy that I have my third title at the US Open, back-to-back this year and last year.
Shane Van Boening is #1 ranking in USA. He have a nice career.
I played him in the first round of the US Open, and you know, he's a good player. And he's a young player that's learning that someday he can be one of the best pool players in the world.
I'm not thinking about winning or losing, but I'm thinking to enjoy my game and show who I am and how I can play pool. But if I win the World Pool Master, I think I will be happy. It will be amazing to be in the history of World Pool Master. So I will remember that. Like 20 years, 30 years, I'll not forget that.
Van Boening secured the opening rack, winning the lag and running out from the break to take a 1-0 lead. An ominous start by America's leading player. With me in the commentary box, Alex Lely, who I know is a confirmed fan of Van Boening. And when he plays his best, this particular gentleman, he's absolutely formidable.
Yeah, he recently won the US Open again, playing possibly more formidable than ever before. Really makes it look so easy. But outside of the United States, he has trouble to duplicating that form. Nice bank. A testing shot still on the 3-ball.
Yes, he's known as the South Dakota Kid. Hometown Sioux Falls. And this year he celebrated his 30th birthday.
His game reminds me of Earl Strickland more and more, especially when playing in the States, because his break, Shane's break, is so big, so consistent, but even the rhythm in his stroke. And when he's in form, he plays an up-tempo. But recently at the World Championships in Doha, Qatar, I managed to experience a lot of Shane, because he was in the same rhythm as the Dutch team in the morning at the swimming pool. Then he went to practice, then he went to work out in the gym. And I saw a very committed sportsman, really working hard, and even though he still hasn't found his winning ways outside of the US. It will come for sure. A player with the talent and the commitment. He will get results.
As for his opponent, well, Omar AlShaheen, undoubtedly the finest player Kuwait's ever produced, and I think you could say the finest player the Middle East has ever produced, and getting better all the time.
He's young, he's fearless, he has good cue action.
Rest. Extension as well.
And then the only thing he needs is persistence and willingness to learn. Because 9-ball is more than snooker and similar to 3-cushion billiards. Very much a game, a discipline of knowledge. Of knowledge and experience and of knowing all the different type of shots.
Yes, he's known as the Tiger. Omar attends college as well as playing pool internationally.
Wow, and also this, Phil. This was Earl Strickland in his days. He cursed the jump stick and was a master at jumping the ball with his full cue.
Full cue, full throttle. What a shot from Van Boening. And if that doesn't send a message, nothing will. But the pot on the 7 is certainly not easy. Two missed balls in the same rack. Twin gifts for AlShaheen. Van Boening looking a little glum, and with every right to be. He placed to such a high standard that to make two mistakes in a single rack was a shock to the system. And by picking up the pieces, AlShaheen draws level at one rack each. That was a surprise. The 3-ball going astray. The jump shot was the definition of spectacular. But guess what? The 7 was overcut. And that's why it was the underdog who was able to tie the scores.
Break off for Shaheen. Half ball contact on the 1. It's not a legal break, it is a legal break. 1 ball down, 2 balls passing the head string.
But does the 1 pass the 9 and the 2 into the top left-hand pocket? If it does, he could be away. From that angle, I don't think it does.
He's looking at a very subtle safety shot. He could also opt to play to hit the 1 into the 9, go to the long rail and then find position behind the 5-3. Well, since this was on, a much better shot. Very difficult escape for Shane van Boening.
Well, the crowd did the commentary there. Great shot, they said, and it was. But what's the outcome? Can he get through to the 2? Well, there's the answer.
Can't complain. And still, it is a skill to resave kick shots like this. Many times the players, they make an educated guess about what speed to hit the kick shot with. It's not totally a hit and hope, because better players, they will guess better many times. The most obvious safety for Van Boening is clipping the left side of the 2-ball, which is technically difficult, and even if he executes to perfection, not guaranteed a good out. But no alternative, so this is the shot he's playing.
Well, Alex, what a sloppy start to the match, really. One has to say, it happened in rack 2, it's happening in the third as well.
Well, I can imagine the discomfort that Shane experiences. Right, because he's so good in the States, must be difficult sometimes for him to understand the contrast. Why do I make these mistakes? Because really, if you'd seen him play in the US Open, he was flawless.
Yes, it's a real pool conundrum. Running side, using a couple of cushions, AlShaheen. Of course he respects his opponent here, but he's not intimidated by him.
Viewable how little room the 7 gives to the 6. He wants to get close to the 6 now, close and straight.
It would be incorrect to bill this as David versus Goliath, but having said that, a victory for AlShaheen would be a major upset. And in the early stages, he's the man. He leads 2-1. Q8's Omar AlShaheen has taken a 2-1 lead over Shane Van Boening in this first round match in the Party Poker Whirlpool Masters at the Metrodome in Barnsley. Breaking off in the fourth as well, and Van Boening has to cut out the mistakes.
Nice setup here for Shaheen. An easy opening shot. The consideration next, if the pocket for the 3-ball is blocked by the 6. That's what it looks like. Means that he must find alternative solutions. Cut the 2-ball in, drag the cue ball. Make it slow down after contact. Held the cue ball nicely, 3-ball to the side pocket. Now wants to get straight in on the 4, so he doesn't have to flirt with the knuckle of the side pocket.
Well, the youngest and least experienced player in the field, so far, acquitting himself with distinction. And if it goes 3-1, Van Boening might start to feel a little restless.
Now, normally, I'd expect the player to come out 2 rails from the 6 to the 7. Played with low left, but he's rolling the ball. A less comfortable shot, but it gets the job done, of course. But the TV table does not play exactly the same as a club table. You have to adjust, you have to find ways to control the speed of the table, because it's much, much quicker. He's hitting the ball clean, Omar AlShaheen.
Well, he respects reputation, but clearly isn't frightened by it. Good rack this. Broken run out, confining Van Boening to his seat.
At this point, I expect a little tension to creep in Shaheen's game, or at least in his head. 3-1 lead, with the possibility to establish a 4-1 lead,
Illegal break,
had he had position on the 1 and sank a ball, of course. But that's how it works, the underdog playing a favorite. If the lead becomes too much, that creates tension.
Yes, it was a dry break and only 2 balls. The red 3 and the green 6 crossed the head string, and so apart from being a dry break, it was also an illegal break called by our referee Michaela Tapp.
Shaheen looking for a push out. So if I put the cue ball here, that's what he looked at. What options does Shane have?
Push out.
It looks like this spot. It depends if the 2 ball blocks a full hit or a 3/4 ball hit on the 1. It does not. So now Shane can bank the 1 back up table and use the 4 and 9 as blockers. Yeah, not the best of push outs. Still a good chance to resave him. The ball spread out nicely. Many friends on the table for Shaheen.
You called it. His best friend, the pink 4 ball.
If I'm playing a real good player, sometimes this is how I used to play. I say, okay, I think, okay, I play push, he plays save, it's a save, I will hit. But the way the balls are positioned, it's about even money, I will resave.
Well, with such a short distance to jump and make contact, that was so tough. I think he'll settle for it.
Oh, that's a delicate touch right there. Beautiful. Hit it very soft. It looked for an instant with that beep that he sort of twitched. But actually, he hit it perfect.
Yes, the beep, of course, was for the final 5 seconds of the allowed 35 seconds. Shot clock in operation in all of these matches. And you're allowed one 35-second extension per player per rack.
Playing for a 1-5 combination. Personally, I would not worry about the cue ball too much. Just choose the speed that is most comfortable to make a precise hit. Not too soft, not too firm.
Well, no contact between the 1 and the 5 at all. A blunder.
Okay, the second phase of this match is now starting. I would dare to predict. The first one was Omar's. Now Shane van Boening to start and dictate and eliminate all those unforced errors. If he pockets the 2-ball to the left, he takes the 6 out of the equation because he will come into the 6. I think it's a matter of personal preference. Floats the ball here. You see Phil, he's picking up rhythm. Walking a little quicker around the table. Forcing himself to decide quicker. To make his head wake up.
Well struck. A little short of pace in terms of screwing the cue ball back to precisely where he wanted it. Nevertheless, the 6 should go in. Now wanted to be straight on the 7 ball to just trundle it into the middle pocket onto the 8 nice and straightforwardly. Well, he still is, I think, but this now is a real pressure ball, Alex.
I think he has gone into execution mode to not worry about the cue ball too much. Make balls. Even here. You see? Doesn't waste time complaining, being frustrated. Just make balls.
Is that the launch of a Shane van Boening fight back? We'll find out after the break. Welcome back to the Metrodome in Barnsley and an intriguing first round clash in the Party Poker World Pool Masters. Shane van Boening breaking off against Omar AlShaheen. Trailing, yes, but now only 3-2 after winning rack number 5.
Good position. In the previous rack we saw him pick up his rhythm, pushing himself, forcing himself to play a little quicker, sacrificing cue ball control, but just telling himself, okay, make the ball, make shots. I'm wondering if he will try and continue or will try and slow down a little bit. Earl Strickland nowadays lives in New York. Shane told me he stayed with Earl some weeks in his apartment. And I think Jason Shaw and Earl Strickland have also been rooming together. I'd find that so interesting. To, you know, at some point when they're discussing pool, Earl, the teacher, talking with Shane. But of course, vice versa, Earl learning from Shane.
And of course, if you like your pool explosive, you'll be delighted to know that Earl Strickland is back in the USA Moscone Cup team in Las Vegas in December. Expect the combustible.
So Shane now in an authoritative mode. Will he slow roll, maybe with check side, or find a way to punch the shot? Needs to check the cue ball to avoid collision with the 7. Drop in behind the 8 ball or kiss the 8 ball for position.
Clinical, precisely what you'd expect from a player of his status in this sport. Well, I used the word sloppy earlier on in the match to describe Van Boning's early racks, but there was nothing sloppy about this in the slightest. Professional in the extreme.
Rack 7, Shane van Boening to break, 3 racks each.
The table break with the hand on the table, head on, that's his forte. He does not like the cut break, but it's something he needs to deal with in this tournament. He's not the type of player that complains, not in my experience at least. Complains, for example, about the breaking format. In 10 ball or 9 ball with a table break head on, he's the best breaker in the world, without a doubt. So it's easy for him to complain, but he doesn't. He really tries to figure out how to be consistent.
Yes, you mentioned 10 ball pool. Well, he was the first ever world champion in that discipline in 2007.
Well, the Moscone Cup is going to be interesting, as this year both teams, Europe and the USA, have agreed upon a different breaking format. A very small break box, and all players must break hard and head on. So that's music in the ears of Strickland and Shane van Boening.
Yes, welcome to his comfort zone.
Good pot. Don't know if he has shape on the 4. Would make for a good jump shot.
Extension.
Looked at the safety, I think, but with this safety, the double kiss is big. Whenever cue ball, object ball and pocket are approximately in the same line, the double kiss is big. Didn't scratch, didn't kiss. Now is this a shot for Shane? It's on. Easiest way to pocket would be with a level cue, hitting plain ball.
Extension.
But then he'd sacrifice control over the cue ball, and he looks like elevating the cue and stroking the ball. He will bank, hit the 5, but I'm sure he's going to bank that 5.
Money in the bank and shape on the 6 as well.
That 6 wiped its feet, and you can tell every time where he can punch the ball, he's comfortable. When floating the cue ball and the object ball, looks a little weaker.
Well, you said the 6 ball wiped its feet, Alex. That's a cue sports term. I think it wiped its feet, washed its hands, and then went for a shower. Wow, that was so close to not dropping. But it did drop. The 8 has followed suit, and now Van Boening 1 pot away from regaining the advantage. He led 1-0. He's back in front at 4-3. Welcome back to the Party Poker World Pool Masters. Shane van Boening took a 2-rack advantage, making the most of the winner breaks format, running out quickly for a 5-3 lead in the 8th. Hoping this is ditto in the 9th.
Needs to come with a good shot on the 1. Can roll forward with the cue ball, but then he risks to collide with the 3. My guess is he will elevate the cue, play a stun draw, and punch the cue ball over to the other side for the 2. Now that's a very clean hit. Can float in between the 3 and 5 for position on the 3 to the side pocket. He knows he's out from this position. Just needs to decide on how to play from the 7 to the 8. Because that decides how he should leave himself on the 7 from the 6. Always thinking 3 balls ahead. Unless, of course, more clusters dictate more thinking. Nice long stroke now.
Well, someone said great shot, but this, not one of those you fancy.
Well, this one is all right, but the next one, he knows he'll be on the rail with the cue ball for the 9. Try to be too cute as far as I'm concerned. Try to cheat the pocket. To hit it unclean on purpose. Just play a little draw and make the 9 with the cue ball on the rail.
Yes, trying to dissipate the pressure on the 9. Missed the 8. Cardinal sin. Van Boening missed a couple of pots very unexpectedly in the second rack. He's done so here as well. And AlShaheen has a cut on the 9 to trail by only 1. Ooh, just about. The underdog sticking with the US Open champion. But AlShaheen's dry break in the 10th handed control of the table back to Van Boening. And he won the rack quickly with a 6-9 plant to move to within 2 racks of the quarterfinals at 6-4.
Rack 11, Shane Van Boening to break, leading by 6 racks to 4.
Great speed and great shape on the 1. Very workable shot. Still needs to do quite a bit of work though. On this TV table we see many balls drop. We see that the pockets are quite receptive. That's because of the slickness of the balls and the heat of the lighting. On the other hand, the table is so slick that it makes it very difficult to judge the speed of the cue ball. Players need to hit the ball softer than what they are used to. A more delicate touch required. And especially when adrenaline kicks in, maybe in combination with fatigue, albeit a 6-6, a 7-7, that's when this TV table, the speed cloth, becomes a challenge. Looked at landing on the left side of the 4. Requires a solid hit and a precise tip position. On that specific stroke, mishitting by half a tip would have resulted in 20-30 centimeters of positional loss.
And you just get the feeling here that America's finest is pulling away, and that the match is slipping away from AlShaheen. The best make a habit of this, coming good when it matters most. Check side in potting the 7 to hold in mid-table for a very manageable 8. Van Boening, 3 racks up, a possible 4 racks to play. No more wiggle room for AlShaheen. I think we can say bringing his experience to bear. Mind you, it's been no walk in the park for Van Boening, Alex, especially in the early stages.
He trailed 3-1.
12.
Shane did well, but at some point... Well, I'm not saying Shane is playing his A game, but his B game for sure, if I divide it in A, B and C. A solid middle game. And he's not looking super fit physically, but at least he has some color on his face. In the beginning of the match he looked a little pale. He has traveled a lot lately. It's very possible it's jet lag. When you're traveling, when you're suffering jet lag, it's very hard to control your energy. You might start a match feeling great and maybe 90 minutes later you feel like a zombie.
Well, for a moment there when he broke off, I thought the 8-ball might scupper Van Boening. Not so. There was just enough room to make the pot. And now from here, it should be plain sailing. Well, I'm glad I said it should be plain sailing, because it isn't now. He's left himself really awkward over the 8-ball. Thankfully, didn't have to do anything with the white.
One drill he needs to hit very soft. He's going twice across. I don't know what his choice of shot was, but he's still faced with a testing shot. But if he strokes it sweetly, it allows him to hit softer, which will make the pocket slightly bigger. Was it nice, but it found the pocket.
He's got Yorkshire support and he doubles up on Omar AlShaheen. Van Boening wins by 8 racks to 4.
I was a little tension, you know, so maybe that's why I lost my match. Next time I should be relaxed and just enjoy the game.
There was a little pressure on my side because of the first match. Usually the first match is always tough because you don't know how the table rolls. So it's a little pressure on my side, and I made a few mistakes.
Despite that, the USA's #1 is the 7th player through to the quarterfinals. But can England's finest, Darren Appleton, become the 8th? He faces Spain's David Alcaide in front of an expectant home crowd next time here at the Party Poker World Pool Masters.